Jimmy Carrane's an improv nerd. Jimmy
Carrane, where does your interview style come from?
Well, I had done WBEZ for
Right.
about 10 years. I did a thing called Studio 312. And that kind of molded who I was. And then lately, I'd say the last 5 or 6 years, I've been listening to Howard Stern and his interviews. And so he's been a huge influence. But at BEZ, Steve Edwards, who was a marvelous interviewer, a guy who had a journalistic background, just a really good guy, he helped me a lot with my interviewing.
What did you find was lacking? I mean, did you find something that wasn't working, that you needed to know more of? Because you have a very distinctive style of interviewing.
Oh, thank you.
It's awesome. It's very candid.
Well, I think a couple things. Working the Truth in Comedy with Del Close, that we both study with at Improv Olympic. I'm always fascinated about the honesty part. I want to know about people's pain because I have so much in my life, and so I'm fascinated about that. And then starting to put more improvisation into my interviews. Now, when I first started here, with Improv Nerd, I would have a lot of questions. And so now I'm trying to do less questions and make it more improvisational. I over-prepared for a long time.
Got it. How much of it do you think, where's the balance for you on how much is like a semantic structure, for example, of how much of it is just I'm so candid, so my expectations are my guests would be so candid, and how much of it is you adjust your semantics and stuff like that?
I've had to learn along the way because, my vision for the show was, Improv Nerd it's part Mark Maron and it's part messing with a friend. And so I stole from you.
Bless you.
I hope I have your blessing.
Always.
And I think I would come in with an agenda, and if people wouldn't bare their soul, I felt like I failed. And so I started to let go of that agenda and just kind of follow them and go where they want it. So if they don't want to go somewhere, I've had to learn. I mean,
It's hard, though, because I have a feeling that we're improvisers, so if somebody asks us a question, my assumption is we have to give an answer. I've learned through the years that I could say something like, that's a very good question, I'll get back to you. Or,
right.
That's not a very good question for me to answer right now. But, I think in terms with you, because my assumption is, I'm supposed to just spew it, I did, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
But here's the thing, with the interview you did, I felt bad. Now,
Why?
Because there was a question I asked you about, something about crazy. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
And then I felt bad because I'm like, I don't want to make people uncomfortable. And then you were back there and you're like, you were still continuing the conversation about that. And so I think I've become a little more selective in, if people...
Because you're an open book. Is there an expectation that other people, when they come to Improv Nerd, that they should just assume that they're an open book? Because, for example, you sent me a pre-interview form that you filled out.
Right.
And that certainly didn't exist when I did it.
No.
But when I read the whole thing, and you're unbelievably candid, which I love about you. And then I asked you a very simple question. Do you remember what that question is?
You said, is there any area that you don't want to go to? And I responded back to you, and I said...
No, you said absolutely no. Everything is game.
Right.
Do you ever ask that question of your guests?
If there's
if there's an area they don't want to go to?
I've had that come up a couple times, and I've had to... It's helped me because I've had to be then in relationship with that person and say, okay, well, I know you have a concern. I know some people said, look, I just want to come on and do improv. I just want to talk about improv. I don't want to talk about my personal life. Fine. Do
you find that a disappointment, or you find because
yes.
you want to?
Yes, I do find that a disappointment, and I've also been able to adjust to it. And the funny thing is, when you say to them, "Okay, we'll just talk about improv," their personal life comes. You can't do this work without avoiding your personal life.
True, but aren't there some people in our improv world
Yes.
that aren't
Yes.
damaged and like you were? I mean, do you know what I mean? It's not always some people might have had a happy, easy childhood and just want to talk about improv.
Yeah.
Or
I would like to have them on the show.